Okay, he's going. Okay, so one of the biggest things I saw from the tournament was that first off, our stances were getting broken a lot during the stand-up. We also had a lot of trouble finishing takedowns. We were pretty good at entering into the legs, getting close to the hips. We had a lot of trouble getting people down. So today, I wanted to talk about one of the most important fundamentals for wrestling, and that's maintaining your own stance so that your hips, your shoulders, and your head are all in alignment. Not, this is bad, this is bad, that's bad, that's bad. Twist the shoulders, that's bad, bad. Anytime that my head, shoulders, and hips are out of alignment, I lose my power, I lose my strength. Either I'm gonna get taken down, or to stop a takedown, I'm gonna get exhausted, okay? Everything that you do and everything that you're capable of is rooted in having a sound stance, okay? So what I'm gonna do, and something, you find your significant other or a friend, have them do this to you, okay? I just want you to get into a good stance, okay? So I'm gonna have you lined up, hips, shoulders, low, front hand, a little bit lower, guarding that front leg, hands close to the midline. Okay, now we start here, but then as soon as the match starts, you start having to move, okay? So let's look at what happens when I start to circle. He has to circle to follow me, okay? Now as somebody circles, every time they take a step, that's a small weakness in their stance, okay? Like if I stay here mid-step, he just pushes me over, right? So every time I take a step, there's a flash second there, or a blink, or my stance is a little bit weaker, okay? Now anytime, okay, so there's movement can be used to modify or weaken somebody's stance, but then there's also contact, okay? So let's start out with the head, that's the most obvious. If I can bring his head down, that's one way I can break his stance. If I can use my own head to lift his chin, that's another way to break his stance. Anytime I can get my hips, shoulders, and head lined up so that my explosive athletic plane is lined up such that his is not facing me. So for example, my forehead on his temple, I can start to break his stance by taking his head out of alignment with his shoulders and hips, okay? So there's the head, there's the stance that relates to the head, which we can break with snaps, with our own head by getting below or off to an angle. Now there's also the shoulders, okay? As I approach, I'm weakening my own stance a little bit by reaching. He can duck underneath this arm, shoot my elbow up, and he has access to this front leg, okay? So anytime you reach, there's benefits and risks, okay? So I'm gonna just reach out, and I'm gonna start to push. I'm gonna take a hook, and I'm gonna do a armpit claw on the outside, and I rotate the shoulders, okay? I'm gonna switch to the other side, I post, armpit claw, rotate, okay? We're just trying to take his shoulders out of alignment with his hips, okay? Post, claw, rotate. Post, claw, rotate, okay?
Can you do it again on this
Sure.
new side?
I post, so I've got a push on one side and a pull on the other, okay? That gives me a lot of potential to rotate. And as I do so, he's gonna have to exert himself to come back to face me, and in that moment, we can switch directions or go for the legs. Basically, a very brief break in his stance creates an opening for us, okay? We're not, and in a match, it's not gonna be, I'm not gonna get him all the way turned, right? I'm not just gonna do a post claw and get it back. Resist for me. I post claw, he resists for a moment, I get some tension in his body, I switch, and you use that left-right push-pull to get reactions that create actual openings, okay? So we got the head, we got the shoulders. You can also break their stance by harassing the hands. I can start to pummel to the inside, push, pull, basically as many dimensions as you can add to your starting game or your hand fighting game, the more difficult it will be for the other person to keep up with what you're doing, okay? So we got head, shoulders. It's a little bit harder with the hands, but there's many different things you can do with the hands. And the last one we'll talk about is the feet, okay? So one way that we can break the stance is to get the other person to move, okay? So if I just even use my own foot to threaten, I made him step, okay? I myself had to step to do that, so there's also risk to me. In order for me to step close to him, to harass his feet with my feet, I have now weakened my stance temporarily to threaten his stance. And let's say he takes a step back. During the split second where he was taking a step back, there was a small opening for me, okay? So as we start out in the wrestling, I want everybody on our team to be very cognizant of maintaining your own alignment in an athletic stance, and very cognizant of the times when you sacrifice something, for example, by reaching or stepping yourself, you make a small sacrifice to get something back of greater value from your opponent, okay? So a drill that if you could find somebody to do this for you, let me know you get in a good stance. I just want you to have somebody go up to you and try to break your stance, okay? So I'll start out with the head. I'm gonna try to snap him. He brings his hips forward. Now I'm gonna push. Pull, push. Pull, push. Pull, pull, push, pull, pull, push. Trying to bring his head out of alignment, either too low or too high, okay? Next, I'm gonna start some rotation, okay? So I'm gonna start with a collar tie and an inside tie. I rotate. I'm pulling the tricep and pushing the head. Switch to the other side. I'm trying to bring those shoulders out of alignment with the hips, okay? Once again, we have the claw shoulder post. Got a post on one shoulder, armpit claw, and I'm turning the shoulders out of alignment. Okay, try to stay in alignment. Okay, and then last, I can either harass the legs by reaching for them to get him to step. So as I reach, step back, get your stance back as soon as you can. Reach, step back. I can harass the legs with my hands. I can harass the legs with my legs. And then finally, I can harass the legs just by circling, okay? I'm making him step. There's small windows. Every time he's stepping, right there's a moment where he stepped and I moved his foot. That was a slightly bigger opening, okay?
8 minutes.
Okay.